And I'll just wait to see when it starts. Katie, will come back to us.
Thank you.
And we're live. Good afternoon. How are you, Katie?
I'm wonderful. Thanks, Lucia. How are you?
Well, thank you. So today's guest is Katie Gordon, and Thursdays are webinar days, but Katie has asked if she could just do like an interview and share her story, share her information with you guys. And I said, yeah, whatever suits you as my guest, that's fine. Now, I just want to share with Katie a little bit around Style, Health and Wellness webinar. The reason that we have the Style, Health and Wellness webinar is that I am not the expert when it comes to health and wellness. I have my own health path. But as far as an expert, I'm not. So I know that you are an expert in diet and living a dietless living, Katie. So you coach and mentor many women around that. So that is your expertise. And we offer this opportunity to like-minded women who have a message to share with other women. And, like I said, I'm a stylist coach and I'm not a wellness coach. So we're going to take it away. Katie's got some questions that she's prepared for me, and I am actually going to be asking the questions. She's not going to be doing just a PowerPoint. So here we go. So why do smart women make mistakes when they have to lose weight, Katie? Can you tell me that?
Yes, Lucia, thank you. We make mistakes. What happens is when it comes time for us to lose weight, it usually happens like we've seen a photo of ourselves and it's like a reality check on us. Or something happens and we suddenly go from walking around in this trance where we don't think we're as big as we are, and then there's a reality moment and we go, holy cow, I got to get this weight off. And we panic. So we go from acceptance and acceptance and acceptance, because that's how we become overweight, is we accept ourselves, we make adjustments in our mindset about how we really look. Yep. And then there's that reality check comes in, and what it just is that moment of panic, and we just go, that's it, the weight's going. And that's when we make our biggest mistakes, because it's that panic and that's it, that like we draw that line in the sand and we go straight to the got to get it off, and got to get it off quick.
Yeah. And it took so long to get there, didn't it? It takes so long to get there, and then we want it off straight away. So what is the biggest mistake they make when they're, when they're trying to remove or take that weight off?
The first biggest mistake that we make is, because we're in that panic mode that get it off me now, is we do too much too soon. So the women that I work with are C-suite women, so they've been working at their desk or at the office, 50, 60, 70 hours a week.
Yep.
And they're already in a state of survival. That's how they've gotten to be overweight, because they're not looking after their health. They're burning the candle at, both ends and all of that kind of thing. And when they go, oh, I'm just going to get this weight off. So they dive into a heavily calorie restrictive diet, and couple in with intensive workout. So they generally hire a PT, or they sign up to the gym and get into a workout program there, or they go to boot camps or something like that. And it's that combination of already living in a state of survival and already being in a body that's got low fitness, suffering pain, too much stress, with the calorie restriction, which puts your body into a state of survival, with the exercise program that's, you know, taking every last ounce of energy that they have. And these women, you know, they're already worked themselves to the bone. So they've tapped out all their energy resources. And then with all of that, it's just too much too soon for a depleted body. And so basically they step into it. They're all full of gusto and gung-ho, and dive in, get going, starting to get some results, but it just is very short-lived. You know, sometimes they make it to the end of the 12-week, or they make it 3 months or 4 months or whatever, but sometimes they only make a few weeks because it's just too much too soon. And very soon after, they start that little backslide with a cookie here, or a drink there, or they start missing some PT sessions or whatever, because it's just too much for an already depleted system.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's interesting you say that. So what should they do instead? Can I just say to you, during this like winter this year, because I've been so sedentary and working in my office, I put a pair of pants on yesterday to go to an event, and I was quite surprised just how much my weight had sort of come around my legs, which normally are quite, okay, but the weight had actually just gone to that area of my body, which was really, really interesting, because I do sit, and that's sedentary. I've started exercise, but it's been there since, probably about February this year. So I've just got to get that momentum. But yeah, so what should they do instead when it comes to that weight loss?
Well, the first thing is to actually just stop and take a step back. Instead of diving in, we hit that panic button and then we take action. It's to hit that panic button and go, oh, now just stop and think about what it is that they need to do. Because like you say, if we put on the weight, it takes a long time. It's put on over a period of time, and then we expect it to just disappear in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But we haven't addressed what the issues were that caused us to put on the weight. And that's the problem, because it's not really the weight that is the problem. Weight is a problem in and of itself, but it's not the problem that we have to address. The situation we have to address is everything that's caused us to put on the weight, which is burning the candle at both ends, not getting the good sleep. We are living a tight life because we're so stressed and focused on work and achievement, and then we go on a diet, which is really like, if you screw the lid on a bottle, if you keep screwing it down, eventually you're going to thread it.
Yes, yeah.
And that's what happens with dieting, because you're already really in a tight space. So what you need to do is loosen up, not tighten down. So it's about getting more rest, more fun, more outside time, more laughter, more pleasure, more movement. You do need movement, but it doesn't necessarily have to be something like, really intensive, boot camp and stuff. Yeah. We need more support and recognition for what we're doing. We need to have more kindness, appreciation, and understanding for ourselves. Yeah. And we really need more freedom. We need more choices about what we're doing, because we've been living quite a restricted life, and that's where the grabbing for food comes. Mm-hmm. We also need to have less pressure and less stress and less body pain and less restriction. So that is, the going to boot camps and things, that's more pressure and more stress. We want less of that stuff. Yeah. And we really need to list out what our obstacles are to achieving all of that. And that's the way forward, because then you build your knowledge and skills about where your life's gone a bit awry. Yeah. And it's really about getting yourself back to a state of feeling happy and well inside, because a happy person makes better choices for themselves overall.
Beautiful. So I believe 12-week challenges are really popular. What's your thoughts on those? Like, I think it's probably mistake number 2. Is that right? Is that how it goes? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because when we charge in, when we do the boots and
Yeah.
all thing, that's what we normally do, is those 12-week challenges.
Yeah.
And we get really focused in on that number on the scale.
Mm.
And so that becomes our be all and end all, and the state of our happiness. So when we're looking at that number on the scale, if it's not reflecting the hard effort that we're putting in, if you're doing all the dieting and all the exercise and the weight's not moving, which used to happen for me, I did a 12-week challenge. It was the most crushing thing I ever did. It was years ago, because I did everything to the rule, to the letter. And I didn't get anywhere near the results that I'd seen other people get, and in fact that my personal trainer got. And it was devastating to me. And when I fell off that wagon, I fell off in a big way.
Yeah.
So we get focused on that number on the scale as being our measure for happiness, and it's just not the place to be, because we've still got the same problems, we've still got the same life that we're living. So even if you get to the end of that 12 weeks and you do achieve that big weight loss and body sculpting, you've still got the same life. And sustainable weight loss is about changing your habits. Just doing a 12-week challenge doesn't change your habits, and it doesn't stop you relapsing back into old habits, because it's our coping skills that we've developed to cope with the stresses of life. So, some people can take weight off for quite a while, and eventually they put it back on. If you talk to anyone who's gone from maintaining their weight to putting their weight back on, you'll find that they've just been through something quite arduous. They've had some sort of a personal crisis. And that's what happens. 40% of all premature deaths are actually caused by habits that we could change if we knew how to change them. And that's the problem.
Wow, that's pretty powerful, isn't it? And so what do you suggest to change those habits? What is your suggestion for that?
Well, habit change is a process. It's the same as weight loss. It's a process. It takes a bit of time. And the first thing to do is to create a plan, because without a proper plan, you don't really know where you're going or how you're going to get there. So a 12-week challenge per se is just it's a 12-week thing, when really you want a life plan. You want to be building your map to the future. And a great plan comes with thinking about the big picture of your life, and exactly all those things that I mentioned in earlier, which is, how to get more rest. How am I dealing with stress? How can I reduce stress? How can I eliminate stress? Like, it's about putting those things into your map. Habit change is really comes down to but just really simple 3 things, which is how you think, feel, and react to life. And you need to know where you need to change to be able to establish the direction that you're heading, and to be able to create the map to your future. Because to have a map is to be able to not only see where you're going, but to monitor yourself and see where you are. If you're walking in the bush and you don't have a map, you don't really know where you are, and it's quite easy to wander off those. Sometimes the path sort of gets a bit weedy and overgrown with lantana, and there's it looks like you're not sure if you should go left or right. If you don't have a map, you can end up off path, and that's what happens in life. You've really got to create the map of where you want to go and what you need to implement to create those habit changes.
So to shift those energies and to make those energies work for you, you need to follow that path so that you can step through and create that new plan and that new way of doing things. So it's awesome. I love that. Why are diets so unhelpful in losing weight long term?
Well, think about I don't know if you've ever had a weight problem, but I had a weight problem for like a yo-yo diet for 25 years. And whenever I was overweight, it was because I was overeating, and I really just wanted to not think about food because, you know, my life seemed to be consumed by thinking about, oh, what am I going to have? What am I going to have? And there's food, knowing that I didn't want it or that it was harming me, but my body was, you know, going, oh, that looks really good.
Yeah.
So the problem is then when you go on a diet, you're focused more on food. You have to meal plan, you have to count it, you have to pre-prepare it. It's like being trapped in a room with your abuser, you know? You want to forget about food and just get on with the business of living your life. So the problem isn't food anyway. The problem's not what you eat, the problem's why you eat it. And as we've already discussed, we eat it because we're overworked and, you know, living in a state of survival. We have conflict issues and all of those things, and it causes us to overeat. So focusing in on the food isn't addressing the actual problems that need to be addressed to create that habit change.
Definitely. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, that stress too. We tend to, you know, grab a bit here and grab a bit there, and then just keep busy doing, but not actually listening to what our body's telling us physically.
Well, exactly. And we're eating on the run because we're living in that state of survival. You know, we've got a to-do list longer than your arm.
Yeah.
And we feel we haven't got time to sit and enjoy a meal. And we certainly haven't usually had time to prepare or pre-prepare. And we go, oh, it's 9 o'clock. I haven't got time. I'll just, what's fast? What have I got that I can eat now rather than cooking?
Yeah.
Or, you know, making a salad or whatever. And it's that internal drive that's pushing us, and that's why relaxation, getting more rest, helps, because it helps to ease that pressure up inside. You know, real health is simply more about more than that number on the scale. The scale means nothing.
Yeah, no, you're right. So what's the alternative then? So you know, what is the alternative? What do they do instead? I guess you've kind of started to answer that in saying that, you know, it's around the mindset and the habits, changing those habits. So what else can they do instead?
Well, what dietless living is really about, it is about forgetting about food and focusing on living. Because when we change our focus, because if you talk to you like yourself, and if you've needed to lose weight, or anyone, once we start talking about why do you want to lose the weight, it's really not much to do with other. Sometimes it's about, you know, help ease some pain or improve health. But generally, people feel that the weight is stopping them from living their life. So it's, you know, I'm going to go running, jumping, skipping with the grandkids. I'll go travel, you know, it'll be more comfortable in a plane seat, or I'll be able to walk further, or I can, you know, wear the clothes I like. I can do X, Y, Z. So if you focus on doing X, Y, Z, and add that into your plan that you're making, which is, okay, I do want to go bike riding. How can I start? Well, I haven't ridden a bike for, you know, if you talk to most people, they go, oh yeah, I'd like to go riding a bike. And well, when was the last time you rode a bike? It's either never or it's, you know, a long time ago. So maybe, and yeah, exactly. So instead of waiting till you've lost the weight and then going, I'll ride a bike, but you still don't know how to ride a bike, it's practicing now for that time. And in that practicing now for then, you're focusing on the things that you want to do, and you're actually starting to already get active. You're actually starting to already do things that move your body, but it gives you pleasure. And then you're already outside. You know, if you're starting to plan and actually do the things that you want to do when you lose weight, then you're already ahead of the curve, and that gives you a sense of satisfaction and enjoyment. And you start to naturally make good choices for yourself anyway, because you're doing the things that you want to do.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, and that's the first step, isn't it? Taking action and doing stuff to
Yep.
So there are a lot of supplements to assist with weight loss. What's your thoughts on these? I guess what it, yeah. Um,
Well, the supplements, I think about a lot of people when they go start to do weight loss program, whether it's gym or a diet, they're often recommended to take a myriad of different supplements to help with that. And if you think of anything like the fat burners, anything that is caffeinated, you know, to kind of ramp up your metabolism and help you lose weight sooner or quicker, if you think about the state of that the body's actually already in, when it goes on a diet, which it's already in, a, you know, if they're people, my clients have been working, they're in adrenal burnout anyway. So taking extra things like fat burners in that is just hurting and harming an already depleted system. But the promise, we've just been sold so well about, you know, sales and marketing for these products, and they really don't help. Sometimes they do if you're got a deficiency. You have to really be a bit mindful about what you're taking. But at the end of the day, the pills and the supplements still don't help you change the habit. We've been sold that you can take these pills and these supplements and it will change your life.
yeah.
But I've seen, well, I could use my own life years ago when I was still dieting, and I had the fancy water filter and I had all the organic stuff and I had all the vitamins and I had you know, all the lemon balm for anxiety and all of that stuff. But none of it was helping me change my habits. It was causing my anxiety and causing my poor eating habits. So at the end of the day, it still comes down to how you can change your habits. And all those products and that, all they do is take your money.
Yeah.
They're full of a lot of them are really full of harmful ingredients because they're highly processed. There's a lot of chemical compounds. There's a lot of artificial sweeteners and, you know, all of that stuff. So it really is about how to change your habits and not think a pill's going to help you do it. But we do dive into them because we just go, all of that's going to work. Give it to me now.
Well, they want quick fixes too. I think that's it, you know. And my biggest, I guess, my biggest learning over my time with food and eating is that it took so long, you know, like when you have babies as women, it took, you know, 9 months to get all of that weight on. So it's going to take you at least 9 to 12 months to take it off, you know. And when you're realistic and you understand that how the body works and that you can't put it under pressure, it makes for a more comfortable life. You know, like you enjoy your life. You're not focused on that number, like you said, which is extraordinary. You know.
Yeah.
What's the solution? I guess you know, you've sort of brought the solution to hand, but what is the solution? Like, what is your business, and how do you give people that solution?
The main thing to be able to change habits, apart from identifying what ones you've got that need to be changed, is to be able to take charge of your psychology and your emotional states, because these are the things behind what's happening. And to be able to do that, we actually have to be able to develop mental flexibility, emotional flexibility. We have to have physical flexibility and behavioral flexibility, because a tight, tense body, you know, that's been sitting at the desk all day or just not getting proper movement, is creating tight, tense thoughts and tight, tense feelings, because you're getting stressed and your frustration levels go up. And so you've got to start with loosening up your body. And loosening up your body, yes, you can do loads of great things, meditation and yoga and all sorts of things. But really, fun and laughter throughout your day, and walking and moving, like literally moving, having a dance, walking with a bit of a swagger, getting that spine moving helps to free up your mental state. But you've also got to develop a growth mindset. You've got to be able to massage your emotions and understand what's happening and be able to, because it all happens unconsciously, all our thoughts and feelings and reactions. And it's just about being able to stop and slow down what's happening so that you can go, okay, what am I feeling? And being able to identify your emotions, being able to rationalize it, understand it, and then express it in a really helpful way that resolves whatever issues are going on. And we need to be able to be self-directed in our behaviours. Most people feel completely powerless against their own behaviours, whether it's their eating behaviours or smoking, gambling, you name it. We've got a million things that we do that we don't really feel that we have control over, but we do. It's just learning the knowledge and skills that help you to do that. Everything in life is just knowledge and skills.
And it's all learned. We've learned it all. We've learned it all. Very interesting that the brain and how it takes us to that comfort place, whereas, oh, you can stay on the couch, you'll be all right, you don't really need to do anything about that, and it's so interesting around the energy and the lack of stimulus, that we allow ourselves, or our brain doesn't allow ourselves, because it goes into that reptilian, that ancient brain thought wave, of protecting us. So yeah, very interesting. I have a friend who says when she diets, her family don't support her. So this is interesting. As a young girl, I was always overweight. I was always the biggest. I was always the curviest, and I would get the bullying from all areas of my life. Because kids, when I was growing up, were quite thin. They were always active. I wasn't as active. I had, I don't know, I wasn't that type of person. Maybe I had a sluggish body way back then. And later in my life, I was diagnosed with a chronic illness. So whether or not that was there as a child, I'm not really sure. But it's interesting, that when you diet, and I've had many friends in my school days that always struggled with this. They'd do the egg diet, they'd do the grapefruit diet, they'd do this diet, they'd do that diet, and that was the information that was being fed to us. So what is it a common, a common thing that families don't support them?
I find that it is, because as you said just a little minute ago about the human brain and the quirky things that it has, and what it likes, and one of the things it really loves is stability and no change. It likes what's normal and familiar. So when we decide that we want to lose weight, and we do start to lose weight, and we start to change food, we start to change behaviors, we start to change our habits, we start, when you know what it's like when you start to lose weight, you're getting confidence, you're starting to feel differently, and how you are as a person affects other people. You just said that when you were younger, you used to get bullied. So if you started to change, and let's use it as an example, I don't know if this is what happened, but if you started to change and lose weight and get more confident and get more assertive in yourself, those bullies don't like that, because you've turned the tables. And we all have this dynamic of a dance that we're doing with the people at work, with our families, with our friends. And if you're the one who's losing weight You have to manage yourself because your brain isn't exactly happy about the changes either, because it needs to be accepted by everybody. And at the moment, everything's working, even if it's not really happy times, you know, being bullied, etc. The brain's funny. It goes, yeah, but I can manage this. This is the status quo. I can handle this. So when you start to change, you're stepping out into unknown grounds. You're creating voids for yourself where maybe you used to go and have dinner with your girlfriends, but it's always about coffee and cake. And all of a sudden you're the one who's going, well, I don't really do coffee and cake anymore. So there's the dynamic shifts and change. And what we find is we have people who don't like that. There's a lot of people that really support us, but there's a lot that don't. I remember when I used to, at one of the jobs I had, there was a very slender girl. We worked in a very small office. She never ate chips or fatty foods or anything. She always, you know, nibbling on nuts and that sort of thing. But the minute she get a whiff that I was on a diet, she would be sitting there with crisps, you know, the crunchy bag and that crunch. Oh, these are really yummy. And, you know, she'd be buying the fried foods from the shop, etc. And, you know, it's a small office, so it'd fill the room with the smell of fried chicken and all of that sort of thing. And she'd bring in a big box of lollies and leave them on her desk, which was right across from me. So it was eye line for me. And it was just diabolical. I also had a friend who I thought was a dear friend. And apart from this one quirky thing, I guess we were really good friends. But the minute I'd go around and say, Dada, how you going? She went, oh, you know, you want cake and coffee? And I know I'm on a diet. She go, and she keep pushing it across the table to me. Go on, just have a piece. One piece won't matter. Go on. And there are so many people like that because people don't want to change the dynamics. But you can manage it. It's just knowing that it's there.
And I don't know about you, but for me, not saying anything, just doing is one of my latest skills. I learned that later in life. Not saying anything, just doing, not bringing it to anyone's attention but my own, and being confident in my ability to do it. And that's how I've managed to do that over these years. So what can women do then? You know, what can they do? Pardon me. I need to rest.
Well, basically, it's about being able to know that that happens and not avoiding it. You know, it's like anything in life. You've got to identify the risks, and then proactively problem solve it. So, if you've got, if you're being, you know, for women, if they've been sitting at home on the couch with hubby and that's their weekend, then all of a sudden they're losing weight and wanting to go out, but hubby doesn't want to, and he's feeling, you know, neglected and making the wife feel guilty. It's understanding that that's happening and how to put in communication, have that talk, make sure that they still feel connected. We have to put in, it's about mastering transitions, because everything in life is a transition, and a transition comes with a conversation, communication, and putting in, because, you know, if you take away something, you have to put something in. You can't leave a void there. So it's about being able to stay on track with all your friends and family, making sure that they understand and feel included in your life, and that you still have time and attention for them, even though you're not partaking in some of the food activities. But also, like for people, say the girl that I used to work with and my friend, it's just about understanding what it is that you're feeling about it. So I used to get quite cranky with her for doing that, but at the end of the day, it's my thoughts and feelings and reactions to it that was creating the tension and the problem. So when we master transitions and we can actually not be focusing on food, because see, that's the thing, you know, diets have got you going, well, I can't have it, I can't have it. If you followed the path that I talk about, which is focusing on what you want. I wouldn't have even seen the food. You know what I mean? I'm indifferent to the food because I'm no longer addicted to it, and it's not something I can't have. It's something I can have that if I want it. I choose not to because I've got these things going on, and it changes our energy and it changes the way that we deal with people in life and those kinds of interactions that happen, because that's normal stuff. Nobody wants to change the status quo, and especially ourselves. And for ourselves, because we do as well drop off the you know how sometimes you're going along doing something, oh, I'm really loving this, I'm really loving going to gym, and I'm really loving doing this and that, and then all of a sudden you kind of stop, and it doesn't happen for a few weeks, and someone says, well, why'd you stop? You go, oh, I'm not really sure. It's your brain going, oh, I don't want change. But that's where that map comes in that I spoke about earlier. When you've got that map that you've set out for yourself, that's where you've got that path forward, where you get to that weedy bit and you go, oh, I'm not sure which way to go. If you've got a map that you've set for yourself, then you know which way to go, and you don't have those that trance of disempowerment, that falling asleep and back into old habits. It keeps you awake, it keeps you alert because you know where you're going. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And it's those small steps that ultimately, because I'm very much about energy, and we get to a point where we're quite calm and we've got clarity, and we're going along doing really well, and then all of a sudden we start to get this turmoil and this chaos, and generally what's happening is it's that comfort, it's that mind trying to keep us back where we were, or we need something to shift and move, in our lives, in our relationships, whatever. So we get this turmoil, we get this turbulence, and then we start to see, if we keep following that path, like you said, just those small steps, we break through. So we break through to that new normal, to that new path that we've got, and then we get up there and we float along for a while, and the same thing happens again. So it's really life, like really, it's life. And understanding that we all experience it, and the way we deal with it is up to us, I guess.
Exactly right. It's about having awareness. That's why, when everyone talks about setting goals, well, goals are one thing, writing them down is another thing, but creating a map to your future, because you just said what's one of our biggest problems as a human being. It's probably one of our biggest gifts as well, but we go along and we hit that comfort zone, we want to break out of it, and we finally burst through it, and then we start to get comfortable again with that thing, that spot that we've reached. And sometimes we either fall backward to where we used to be, or we just sit there and we think, oh, I've reached some sort of pinnacle. But it's to follow that map and go, okay, well, I got to here, I got to the base of this road or this or that, and where's my next bit? How do I get there, and how do I keep moving forward with breaking through or widening? Maybe it's like widening out your fence on your property. I'm going to move that out a little bit more.
Yeah, something like that. I think that's a great analogy. So you've got a webinar on the 28th of October, is that right?
Yes, next Wednesday at 6:30 Brisbane time.
Radio. And the topic for that conversation, what's
the 3 secrets that every woman needs to know to lose weight successfully, naturally, and keep it off.
Beautiful. I love that. And you have a downloadable, is that right? You have the downloadable 7 steps.
Yes.
So if people put their I guess their email addresses, or they can contact you or private message you, how can they contact you?
They can send me a private message, or they can just go to the website, which is allthews.katiegordon.me. And the ebook, the 7 Steps to Mastering Your Health So You Can Master Your Life, that's on the website. And the webinar is also on the website, so they can register on there for that if they like.
Awesome. Okay, so we will share that in the conversation, Katie, for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, that's okay. So thank you for that. That was really interesting. It's interesting how it connects to what I teach, about the energy and the emotions and the moods that we feel when we look at our wardrobes daily. It seems to be that many of us have been conditioned to be a specific way, and it's almost like our brain goes, well, you tell me to do something, I'm not going to do it. We're just going to get into that comfort zone and stay there, kind of thing. But I have a couple of questions for you now. A little bit about yourself, personally. Where are you on the map of Australia? Whereabouts do you reside?
I live in Brisbane City.
Okay, right in the city, right. And family, children?
I'm a single woman who enjoys traveling. So I actually lived out of my suitcase for 5 years.
Beautiful.
So that I could move around and go wherever I wanted. And I was doing house sitting for most of that time, traveling overseas and moving around. A bit of a nomad.
Yeah, okay. So I guess that leads me to the next question. Where is a place in the world that you absolutely love? Is it home, Australia, or is it somewhere else in the world?
I do love Australia. I absolutely love the crispness and the blue and the oceans, because I grew up on the Gold Coast, so I just love it. And Brisbane's such a beautiful, pretty city.
Yeah.
But if I had my way, I'd live in London.
Oh, okay. I love London. Yeah, but I think I'd live in Europe. Because I've got family in Slovenia and Italy, so I think I'd be living in Europe if that was me.
Well, see, London's really good because I don't speak any other language, but it's only a short flight to all the other great places in Europe.
Paris is like what? Just a hop and a skip over the gully.
Yes.
A bit like New Zealand here, right?
Yeah.
So what do you have a go-to style then? If you lived out of your suitcase, you obviously know how to not have too much. So do you know how to, do you have a go-to style? Do you have a particular style that you love?
Well, that's such an interesting question, Lucia, because I do love jeans. We don't live in a climate that's really friendly in the summer for jeans.
No.
But I love jeans. I grew up in jeans. I'm a country girl from, our rural Gold Coast when there was nobody out there back in the 60s, 70s. And when I lived out, and prior to putting all my belongings in storage, I had actually built up a really nice wardrobe of dresses and tops and skirts and whatnot. And then, but I was a different weight then, because your weight does change, etc. So when I put all my things into storage, I didn't know how long it was going to be for. I thought it was only going to be 5 minutes, and it was 5 years.
Yeah.
So from living out of my suitcase, though, I just wore the same clothes over and over, and it was jeans and very simple tops, things that didn't need ironing, obviously, because they're going to be in a suitcase.
Yeah, that's right.
And so when I got my things out of storage, some of them were okay, but it's basically I don't have a good wardrobe. And it's been 3 years now since I got my belongings out of storage, but shopping is an art form. It's about being regular at the shop, whereas I kind of go in and go, I got to have clothes. There's nothing to find because it's either not the season or whatever. Shopping is I realized later on, shopping is really like a little squirrel bowerbird thing, you know, you're
Yeah, it
constantly
is.
checking through the shops and then you see, oh, that piece and that piece and that piece. So I still love my jeans.
Okay.
And I am looking to find the clothes that I have grown into as a 55-year-old woman now. I have a completely different taste to what I had before.
Yeah.
I do have probably a wardrobe you'd like to get your hands on, in the fact that it's full, but I don't wear any of it.
Any of it. And that is the scenario that I hear so often. I'm actually doing a wardrobe edit on Monday, and the lady that I'm doing it for, she's converting. I think she said it's her bedroom closet, and she's got a chest of drawers, and she's going to go and live in a mobile home. So we've got to get all of this into this. So it's going to be a really interesting exercise, but very much an emotional journey for that particular person, because some of the clothes have got a real attachment to particular times in her life.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got 5 hours booked, so it's going to take a while, I believe.
Do you take the photo of things? Do you do that when somebody needs to throw away something that is just dear to them, even though it sits in the wardrobe, never seen, never touched, never even, you know, it's up the back, but they just can't bear to throw it away because of the sentimental memories?
I let them keep it. I'm not that much of a bully.
Yeah.
I absolutely, but I do give them a recommendation, that they make something out of it, that they utilize it to make something else. You know, whether
Yep.
it be, I don't know, a pillowcase or you know,
Yeah, good idea.
yeah, so a cushion cover. You know, a table runner. You know, you get these beautiful gowns, and you can make table runners, and yeah,
Yep.
there's always ways, or beautiful scarves. You know, with the fabric. So
Yep.
there's just some amazing ways that you can utilize the fabrics, if you can't part with it. So
Yep.
I really don't. I don't encourage people to give clothes away. I encourage people to be really, really. I guess mine is more about understanding the intuitive aspect of how you've got those clothes and where you've got those clothes from. So very much around color, and very much around energy. So your intuitive energy, and what's driven you intuitively to purchase and
Yep.
get those clothes. And generally, there's 3 colors that are quite um, pronounced in a wardrobe. You will find that there's dominant colors, very, you know, and that's what I was saying about the branding.
Yep.
Very dominant colors. So I guess your greatest achievements would be living 5 years in a suitcase, and yeah, that in your style journey. But is there anything else that you can think of with your clothing that's stood the test of time? You know, like it's been an item that you've got in your wardrobe that's really stood the test of time. That
What have I got? You know, when I was, this is one of my quirky pieces. When I was in my early 20s, I made a full length Dracula cape with
yeah,
of heavy cotton drill with a beautiful royal purple lining.
wow,
And I have that, and I have taken that on travel with me because there's not many places to wear it here.
yeah,
But I have taken it with me overseas if I'm going for the winter.
yeah,
And it is one of those things. I love it. I made it. Plus, it's really is me. I
yeah,
still really love it, and
yeah,
it does suit who I am and who I have become as well.
yeah.
So that would probably be my one piece that I'll never get rid of. That can probably bury me in that, just like Dracula.
That's interesting. It's interesting though that it's a cape. Yeah, living on the Gold Coast, you know, like. But I can definitely see the jeans and a t-shirt and the cape over the top as a go-to style.
Well, we used to live out in rural Gold Coast, and we back in, you know, when I was younger, we used to, with my circle of friends, we had a lot of outdoor parties
Yes,
around fires in the winter,
bonfire.
and it was just, that's what I made it for. That was my party coat,
Yep.
because you could wrap it up in it and it would be warm, and it was just, yeah, that was my party coat.
Yeah.
With jeans, boots, you know, and another jacket, and yeah. So
Yeah.
that's very much my style.
Oh, there, that's interesting. So it stood the test of time. It's still with you. That's awesome.
And I still wear it if I can get a place where I think, you know,
Yeah.
occasionally you might see me wandering down the street of Brisbane.
Maybe for Halloween.
Yeah.
I have a it's an Aran, is it Aran wool? It's an Aran wool. It's a woolen jacket. It was my grandmother's. My grandmother's been gone for many, many years, and I've still got that. It's got a little, it's one of those little short jackets with the peplum on the bottom. So
Yes.
but it's a twill. So it's a black and brown twill, which is
it sounds gorgeous.
Definitely my colour. And I've had that since I think I was probably about 16. My mother gave it to me and said, "Here, this was Grandma's. This is for you." And I've still got it in my wardrobe. So yeah, and I won't
Do you
tell
still wear it?
That's a secret, but I'm over 60. So what advice would you give women who are wanting to create change in themselves but aren't sure how to go about it? Like how, you know, like when you're thinking a dietless living,
Yeah.
and you know the journey that you go on, what would be your biggest advice? What would be your best advice?
It's the first step, which is to start to fossick around in your thoughts and use a pen and paper, because pen and paper is very powerful, and start to think about what it is that you really want to, like, why do you want to change your health? Why do you want to lose weight? Why do you want more energy? Because most people do go to that, well, I want more energy. What are you going to do when you've got that more energy?
Yeah.
Because when all the times I was overweight, and I do love clothes, and I used to always see these beautiful clothes in shops. Oh, I really want to wear those. And that was my only motivation really for wanting to lose weight, was so I could buy these clothes. But the reality was I worked a bazillion hours, a workaholic, and I wasn't going out and doing anything anyway. So when it came down to a choice between a cake and, I could wear those clothes, it was, I'm never going to wear them anyway because I don't go anywhere, so I might as well have the cake. And so it wasn't until I got a bigger reason why, which was I want to be well in my old age. I want to be healthy. I want to travel. And if I want to travel, I need to be able to walk a lot. I want to experience things. I don't want to get to somewhere and see there's an adventure or an experience, but I go, I'm not well enough. I was already doing that, you know? So it became about that bigger picture, which is what I was saying. It's the big picture of your life. It's not this 12 minutes or next month or this year. It's your life overall. So my advice to people would be, think about that. What is it that you really want now, in the future? And start to write it down. And when you've got about 100 things, and keep looking at it like every other day, when you've got about 100 things, now you're ready to start making the plans forward, because now you've got motivation to do it.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it? And where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Where do you see Katie Gordon?
In my mind, I'm living in London, and I'm just enjoying life and teaching. And to be honest, from a career perspective, I would like to be, I see myself having some influence. I really would like to join up with Jamie Oliver.
Right.
He's all about helping kids change their eating habits, you know, with the good food.
Yes.
And I'd like to get into the schools to teach what I know about changing your habits. And because I did all the wrong things when I was younger, I had a lot of wayward habits. I would like to teach kids, because it's emotional stability at the core of everything, that we start going off with different habits. So if
Mhm.
you can teach kids how to understand what they're feeling emotionally, it can help them stop reaching for food, reaching for drugs, reaching for alcohol, and the other things that cause us pain and suffering. So I really would like to join with Jamie because he's all about the good food,
Yes,
and
yes.
I would like to join with him with the kids.
Yeah, yeah. So that emotional intelligence, it's quite powerful, isn't it?
Yep.
Just having that and passing that along to the next generation of children,
Yep.
is really powerful. So it is 5:55. We have like the time has just gone so quickly, Katie. I can't believe it. It's just like phew. And I've had the opportunity to ask you all the questions that I wanted to ask you also. So I guess if people are interested, they could book a 30-minute chat or a call with you. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes, you
I
can do that
haven't,
on the
I,
website as well.
yeah, I haven't looked at the chat. Yeah, as such, I was going to, but yeah, I just got into the conversation and it was too interesting for me because it's all about that habits, those habits, and the mindset, and you know how we treat ourselves emotionally. That has a
Yep.
bearing on our health, you know, and you don't have your health, you don't have really a life to move forward with. So yeah, it's very vital. So thank you for being my guest. I have really enjoyed it. And we are going to say goodbye to Facebook now. So anyone that's been watching, bye for now. If you want any more information about Katie, just comment in the chat. But we will see you again next Thursday with our next guest. Not really sure who that is, but we will see you next Thursday at 5 p.m. Bye for now.